It's very well known that reality TV owes most of its popularity to drama and suspiciously avoidable or manufactured situations. However, what happens when the drama you're known for on TV is only matched by your off-screen issues? That's something which Paul Teutul Sr. from the hit show American Chopper knows well. Paul Sr. is easily remembered for the never-ending feud between him and his son Paul Jr., to the point when the two couldn't stand to see each other in the same building, let alone in the same show. They parted ways, but that wasn't the end of trouble for Paul Sr., who has seen himself caught up in several legal scandals in the last decade, including being hit by fraud allegations, even as he dealt with an already troubling bankruptcy case. So what have Paul Sr.'s legal issues been about? Is he still in trouble? Has he previously been sued for fraud? Keep with us to find out. Before getting to why Paul Sr. filed for bankruptcy, let's go to the time when fraud allegations hit him, amid his already complicated financial troubles. In early 2017, Paul Sr. was sued for alleged fraudulent behavior toward one of his former associates, producer Thomas Derbyshire. According to the documents filed by Derbyshire, he and Teutul had agreed to work on an American Chopper revival series entitled Orange County Choppers, American Made, to be aired on A&E. However, the producer alleged that Paul Sr. switched their deal to benefit each part of 50%, which went against the initial agreement of Derbyshire's getting 51% of the earnings in return for the $3 million he invested in the project. Derbyshire also accused Paul Sr. of unauthorizedly providing his son, Michael Teutul, with a salary, interrupting the filming to go on vacation, and refusing to film with Rusty Coons from the TV show Sons of Anarchy. On top of that, the Teutul patriarch was also accused of making brand deals without permission of Derbyshire, breaching their contract and thus sabotaging the TV show, according to the plaintiff. Although the case was filed in April 2017, it wasn't made public until Paul Sr. filed for bankruptcy a year later. It's unclear, though, what was the resolution of the case. In February 2018, Paul Sr. filed for Chapter 13 bankruptcy, a plan available to wage earners and self-employed people to let them pay their creditors when common payment alternatives don't provide them with enough financial relief, which was something which Paul Sr. greatly needed at that time. According to reports, Paul Sr. owed over $1 million by the time he filed for bankruptcy, but his earnings were far lower than that. His monthly income was $16,530.81, but his monthly expenses and debts were $20,129.17, without counting the hundreds of thousands he owed in taxes on his home located in Montgomery, New York State. Some medical expenses and over $30,000 in a judgment against him were included in the case. Some of the properties listed by Paul Sr. included 3 cars and 4 dogs. His 38-acre Montgomery property stands out in all of his assets, as he reportedly owned $1.8 million of its fee interest. While everything seemed to be going well in the bankruptcy process, in 2019, Paul Sr. was accused of neglecting the case by failing to provide important documentation to his trustee. But all of these issues were seemingly fixed in the end. The case attracted lots of media attention, though, explaining why the fraud allegations against Paul Sr. were publicized in the middle of it. One of the most talked about topics during Paul Sr.'s bankruptcy case was regarding his house at the time, as he'd faced several issues while trying to sell it. The Montgomery house was initially listed for $2.89 million and in the market for a couple of months before Paul Sr. filed for bankruptcy. The property's price wasn't that attractive to buyers, leaving the TV star no other option than to lower its price twice, eventually listing it for $1.65 million in 2019. According to a Page 6 report, the 32-acre property had lots of charming points, including its location and ample space, but most buyers weren't exactly ecstatic about the extra documentation they needed to go through if they wanted to buy it, due to the house being a foreclosure. Another not-so-positive aspect about Paul Sr.'s house was its price, which, despite being lowered 42%, was still too high to compete with other properties in the area, listed around $300,000 at the time. Paul Sr.'s was higher in comparison to those, but was still a tough ask for potential buyers. In July 2019, Paul Sr. finally sold his Montgomery house for $1.5 million, allowing him to pay off all his debts for good and put an end to this complex episode of his life. However, it wasn't enough that Paul Teutul Sr. filed for bankruptcy while the fraud allegations against him were made public, as in the meantime, he was also hit by a second lawsuit. This new development in the case was known in April 2019, when the auto shop JTM Motorsports accused him of not paying his debt to the business for a car which he'd commissioned some work. As reported by The Blast, Paul Sr. agreed to pay the auto shop with screen time in American Chopper, which aired a couple of months before he commissioned the shop to work on his 2009 Chevrolet Corvette in August 2018. Paul Sr.'s payment never came, so leading the business to file documents on Teutul's Chapter 13 bankruptcy case, seeking payment for the $30,000 he owed. However, Paul Sr. allegedly failed to comply with the agreed payment once again, leading the shop to hold him in civil contempt. It's fair to assume that this issue was fixed once Paul Sr. sold his house and paid his creditors, including JTM, but the incident is yet another unfortunate turn of events associated with his highly publicized bankruptcy case. It was very bad for Paul Sr. to be accused of fraud for allegedly sabotaging his TV show. But that wasn't his first rodeo at a fraud court. Back in 2007, Paul Sr. and his two sons, Paul Jr. and Daniel, were taken to court when a 2005 bankruptcy trustee, Tom Genova, accused them of fraud for moving assets from one family company to another, before filing for Chapter 7 bankruptcy. As reported, Paul Jr. owned OC Ironworks, Inc., which his father established in the 1970s before leaving the business for good in the early 2000s. As his father took care of Orange County Choppers, Paul Jr. managed the steelwork company for a couple of years, until selling all of its assets to his brother Daniel, who had just recently founded Orange County Ironworks, LLC. 6 months later, the old company filed for bankruptcy, while facing a lawsuit for breach of contract by a company named Turner Construction. In 2008, the case was settled for $500,000, and everyone moved on. However, this incident only adds to the already long list of negative encounters with the law which Paul Sr. and the rest of the Teutul's have faced so far. You may hold your breath awaiting Paul Sr.'s further legal problems, as he certainly doesn't appear very smart in such matters. Thank you for spending some time with us. Make sure to like and subscribe so you never miss another video. We also handpick these videos which we recommend you watch next. You can talk to us on all social medias or ask a question in the comments below. Thank you for being with us, and we'll see you back tomorrow.